Recently, my soul pushed me with extreme intensity, and therefore I had to listen to her. I faced my greatest fear. I left my family and the world of illusion. The only way forward is to get out of the illusion, out of the triangle of hell. I must remember who I am, and then understand what the hell I'm doing here on Earth. I include the links to my video, I'm Out of the Matrix. Human robots, wake up! The war is over. Booklet number 4 of Personocratia, Politics Towards Individual Sovereignty, pages 88 and 89. Page 88. Human robots. The external authorities enjoy ruling over submissive and obedient sheep. They do not want us to evolve in consciousness and are ready to do what it takes to remove our free will, because it opens the door to our creative power. Our leaders use a plethora of secret technologies that emit interference frequencies from devices such as intermitters, smart meters, cell phones, subdermal implants, radio, television, CDs, DVDs, cinema, and video games. The vibrations released by these technologies scramble brain waves and lowers the reception of information coming from our physical, emotional, and mental bodies. This allows the sheep to continue to accept slavery with a smile. To stop this brain scrambling, I need to make a conscious decision. The most important one will be to say no to any injection, COVID or any other vaccine, or subdermal implant microchip. Here's the link to one of my most popular videos posted almost 3 years ago. Intra-Body Nano-Network, brief summary. Diagram of the intra-body nano-network. The nano-network is a set of objects and elements with the ability to interact with each other through signals in the form of pulses, electromagnetic waves, and electric fields, being also able to operate in the molecular spectrum. These components may be already assembled or pending self-assembly when the conditions of the temperature, magnetism, and environment are suitable. Within the nano-network, 2 types of strands can be distinguished. 1, the one that is fixed in the brain, and 2, the one that is fixed in the rest of the body. Humanity is connected to IoT, Internet of Things, network. All you need is the vaccine, your cell phone, and the 5G network. Amazingly, this video is still available on my French YouTube channel with almost 5,200 views. This may be the highest viewed video on my French channel. However, it has been taken down on both my English and Spanish YouTube channels. Thankfully, it is still available on BitChute. The video is a brief summary of the self-assembling nanotechnology which was injected into billions of human bodies throughout the COVID injection. When I first learned about this, I was literally freaking out. Other than making these videos and trying to share this information primarily with my loved ones, I tried everything I could think of to stop them from accepting the injections. I failed miserably. Other than my daughter, all other members of my family were repeatedly injected. Today, almost 4 years after the COVID injection started, as far as I know, nobody in my family has any serious effects so far. Recently, I finally found the courage to leave the matrix. I informed my mother, my siblings, and my children that I am out of the matrix. I had to emotionally detach myself because I know that the suffering which is coming is going to be much, much greater than what I can imagine. I know that it is their journey and their choice. I finally accepted that it was never my responsibility to save any of them from the suffering. It takes courage to break the spells we've been under. I continue to do videos for the very few who have the courage to leave the matrix and become part of the needed critical mass of plus or minus 300,000 Personocratias. In 2009, when the Personocratia booklet on politics was written and published, Guy and Mado had some information on microchips and obviously none on nanotechnology. Back to page 88. To stop this brain scrambling, I need to take a conscious decision. The most important one will be to say no, thank you. The microchip will at the very least contain my passport, my debit and credit cards, my driver's license, my social security and health insurance cards, and my proof of parenthood. This chip also emits vibrations that may rule over my mind and tell me how to behave. A day will come when I have to say yes or no to the chip. I have the choice. If I say yes, I accept the abominable exchange. I sell my soul for the security of my body. If I accept and believe that I will be able to mentally block this effect, I'm lying to myself. The elites understand human behavior better than most of us. They know that the three keys of human control are ignorance, unconsciousness, and fear. That is why they keep us ignorant by controlling education and the media. That is why they inhibit the exponential growth of human consciousness through mind control techniques and technologies. That is why they stimulate my fear by creating dramatic events and pretending that more frightening ones are coming soon. Apocalypse, 2012, global pandemic, COVID, terrorism, nuclear threat, World War III, climate changes, polar shift, Planet X, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, tsunamis, or extraterrestrial attacks. With each new danger, my fear increases. And yet, everything is perfect. It is I, Idessa, who creates all this in order to reach the end of this experiment. Through the ages, I incarnated in thousands of bodies. What was the purpose of this long journey? I was longing for something, and I became the incarnation of my aspiration. Today, I can finally decide to stop death once and for all, and to live as the immortal being that I really am. This is not going to happen in 100 years. This new species is taking shape inside our bodies right now. That is why our present life, or rather our present survival, is becoming intolerable. Wake up! The war is over. Various religions pretend that forces of light will defeat the forces of darkness. Abrahamic religions, Judaism, Christianity, Islam symbolize this duality with the image Saint Michael killing Satan. They represent the first as a radiant angel carrying a sharp sword. His name, Michael, means in the image of God in Hebrew. Satan, the Hebrew word for adversary, looks like a repulsive horned dragon. This image is the perfect representation of the human duality of good and evil, and of the internal war that is constantly raging inside of me. I project this war onto the visible and invisible worlds that surround me. I have forgotten my eidesic nature. I am all, and I create Satan and Michael in my image and likeness. In reality, I am both, one and the other. Will I go on fighting with myself, or will I choose to make peace? Stop. I cease this paranoia. There's no external enemy. It is a mental illusion fed by my fear of death, the invention of a fearful sheep. Now I decide to step out of fear. I remember who I really am. Idessa, the original vibration, inherent to all that exists. I am all, Saint Michael and the dragon, the citizen slave and the New World Order elite, good and evil. This is how all the deceitful systems that I have created out of fear will collapse. Dualistic religions, Machiavellian politics, dogmatic sciences, barbarous laws, cruel armies, stifling families, monotonous jobs, and mind-numbing schools. The world will appear as it truly is, vibrations of infinite love and of joy. Only I can bring peace on earth. Here I will share part of my journey. Once I was physically out of jail, I spent 6 months in a halfway house in Ottawa on day parole, and after that, another 8 months in the community on full parole and under regular supervision. I was able to visit my parents, and I did so almost every day before returning back to the halfway house. The basement in my parents' house was filled with all my belongings. My last house was huge, and therefore I had a ton of stuff. Canada Revenue Agency, CRA, attempted very aggressively to confiscate everything. But Lee and I understood the rules of the game, and in the end, CRA could not steal my personal things. They can easily steal, and they did steal, everything that is registered, such as house, car, money in bank accounts, registered savings plan, vacation properties, and so on. But with furniture and clothes, it is much more difficult to steal because these things are not registered. Registered means it is legally attached to the name. Initially, CRA tried to manipulate my mother and my sister Malanka to convince me to sign paperwork which would confirm that all those things in my parents' basement were my property. Malanka was adamant that I must sign because if I don't, I would place my parents in danger. Both my mother and Malanka were in deep fear. It was literally palpable. However, I did not allow their fear to manipulate me, and I refused to sign anything. Finally, CRA gave up, and all my belongings stayed in my parents' basement. Once I was on day parole, I spent all my days sorting through all my belongings and packing what I felt I could ship out to wherever I was going to settle for the rest of my life. Shipping costs were very high, but compared to today, it was somewhat reasonable. I packed 40 big boxes, and after quite a few challenges, because of my limited resources, I did not use an agency. All 40 boxes arrived in Popayan, Colombia, 5 years after they were packed. For some reason, my father moved aside the package of my hand-knitted silk carpets, and that was never sent out. One of the paintings that were shipped was this one, Saint Michael, killing the dragon on a papyrus. We purchased that one on our last trip to Egypt with the kids. I love the framing, and therefore that piece of art is here with me in Colombia. On that trip, I also brought this Tree of Life silk handmade carpet. It is such fine detailed hand job that I enjoy it as wall art. The tree of life meaning includes enlightenment, wisdom, resilience, longevity, spiritual growth, and connectivity. Various cultures and peoples, from Vikings to the Chinese, have long incorporated the tree of life symbolism into their religions, art, and culture. The tree of life represents harmony and balance in nature, rebirth, and a connection of the earthly and the spiritual. Trees are symbols of strength, individuality and expression, calmness, growth, and the interconnectedness of everything. I mentioned above that for some reason my father moved aside the package of my hand-knitted silk carpets, and that package was never sent out. Malanka tried to sell the big carpets, but unconscious people cannot appreciate hand-created perfect beauty, and finally I asked Malanka to ship 2 of the carpets. One of them is this other tree of life, fine handmade silk carpet. This one is on the floor of my bedroom. I'm surrounded with the energy of balance, harmony, and the interconnectedness of everything. Once the package arrived, Malanka sent out the next one. That package was lost. The value of the carpet was very high for me, but I accepted that I did not need the other big carpet, and that is why it was lost. I had completely forgotten about the smaller tree of life carpet. After quite a few months, the box appeared back in Canada. Malanka and I had quite a good laugh when that happened. However, Malanka was of the opinion that she should not send it out again. About a year later, I asked Malanka to send me a book, which my Canadian friend bought for me and sent it to Malanka's house. When I saw the shipping bill of $95, I was in shock and told Malanka that I would never have allowed her to send out that book. Her comment was, "No worries." The small box arrived without an incident. I opened the package, and to my great surprise and joy, the small tree of life carpet was in it with the book. That is why it cost so much to send it. This story of mine is simply to share with you, the conscious listener, that the divine in me and in all things, which Personocratia calls idesa, creates every little detail in absolute perfection. My father placed that initial package apart so that Malanka and I experience these events together. Unfortunately, Malanka is not conscious of all of this perfection because she accepted at least 3 COVID shots into her body and a ton of nose swabs. Let us keep our faith ardent with an unfailing sincerity in these times of irremediable dissolution of the illusion. We must choose our soul at all costs. Infinite love. From millennium slavery to individual sovereignty. In the Orient, in the 20th century, Sri Aurobindo and the Mother discovered and anchored truth consciousness, the supramental consciousness in the earthly atmosphere. Once well anchored, the new consciousness was ready to move on to the next stage, its popularization and propagation. In the West, in the 21st century emerged Personocratia, the power of the sovereign person to govern oneself. Sri Aurobindo's integral yoga goes beyond individual liberation and undertakes collective transformation on earth. After the death of Sri Aurobindo, the Mother continued their work, and on February 29, 1956, the supramental consciousness was definitely anchored on earth. One single and sincere look at the present world situation is enough to convince anybody that it has reached a point of no return. Humanity is heading towards a monumental dead end. Let's stop repeating our obsolete ways, which can only bring more suffering. Personocratia continues the diffusion of truth consciousness in the West. Substantial unity replaces the guru-disciple separation. Let us all spread the contagion of love. I'm out of the game. Like Truman in The Truman Show, I have taken my bow and left a world of illusion, this computer simulation to which I have given authority to manage my life. I leave the theater, where I have played time and time again the roles of disciple, daughter, parent, dentist, entrepreneur, citizen. Today, I devote myself fully and without limits to spreading individual sovereignty, the truth consciousness that I have been experiencing since 2002. Infinite love.